Welcome to the Visible Flow Engineering program. I'm going to give you a really quick high-level overview of the program, how it works, what you can expect out of it, and why it's so valuable for teams to work together on. First of all, flow engineering might seem super technical. It might seem that we're talking about infrastructure or automation or software development, but essentially flow engineering is about people and people working together to deliver value to customers. It's human. And the flow engineering program is 100% human centric. So whether you have never heard of flow engineering as a concept, value streams, even software development, it doesn't matter. Welcome, you are part of the program, and your perspective is incredibly valuable to this process. You're going to see how you fit into the big picture and how each one of us comes together to deliver value. So what are we going to get out of this? Essentially, what we're going to start with is a very clear outcome. So we're going to come together, gather our perspectives, and reconcile the difference between what everybody thinks and what the team needs to keep in mind as we set our sights on a North Star. So we're going to set a direction, and then we're going to look at the flow of work and value through the value stream. What we're doing on a regular basis to deliver value to customers, and where it breaks down, where it bogs down, where it slows down, where it gets complicated, where quality and value aren't as present as other spots. We want to find hot spots that we can focus on for improvement. Because if we're focusing anywhere, it really should be our biggest bottleneck. Next, the way that we do that is by measuring. So we look at the big picture, but then we add measurements like time, quality, and value to get a rich picture of how value is actually flowing through the value stream. And that's going to help us really target significant bottlenecks in the system that are quantified by data and qualified by all of our different perspectives. Following the measurement of performance, what we want to look at is everything outside of the value stream. What are the dependencies that your team relies upon that perhaps hinder performance or add complexity or add uncertainty or variability? Things like SLAs from other teams or partners, or approval processes, or legal or regulatory concerns. These things have to be taken into account because they can have a large impact on the flow of value through the value stream. So we want to have them as part of the picture as well. Next, what we look at is everything that's inside the value stream from a capabilities perspective. We want to look at what sort of capabilities are driving that value creation and delivery, and which ones are the most critical. We do that by targeting the bottlenecks that we've identified previously, and then we look at those capabilities to find out, are they bottlenecks because of a gap or because we're lacking training or tooling or some kind of support, so we can get the best picture of what we need to do to address those concerns. Following that, what we want to look at is other opportunities for improvement, taking all this data into account. We want to look at our target outcome, the obstacles that we've surfaced, the bottlenecks in the value stream, our future state ideas for the value stream flow, the dependencies outside the value stream, and the capabilities inside the value stream. All of that is going to give us this rich picture of where we should be focusing our energy and our attention. Following that, what we can do is take all of those ideas and insights and prioritize them into what I call a flow roadmap. And the flow roadmap is the how for the product roadmap and the technical roadmap. It's a layer that sits in between that actually gets us to where we want to go. So instead of just setting targets in a roadmap, we're focused on how are we actually going to reach any of those targets? What is the machine that we're going to repeatedly run to deliver value and move us forward? So the way that we actually get any of this done is through collaborative mapping exercises. So we'll be in workshops together, all adding our perspectives, all interacting, all collaboratively sharing our perspectives and building out these images, these maps that connect all this data together and build this picture of reality that is going to drive really high value opportunities and actions. So we start with remote meetings, either over Zoom or Teams or whatever it is we use to remotely collaborate. We look at a collaborative whiteboard. And what I use for this is Mural. It's a very simple virtual whiteboard system that allows us to throw in Post-it notes, connect things together, group them, move them around, and we build this visual map of flow. Just to give you an idea of what comes out of these exercises, what you'll see on the left is an image of a current state value stream map. So you can see this flow of software development wandering with a lot of these highlighted boxes that are identifying areas that are taking a ton of time relative to the rest of the flow. And this is what we don't want in a value stream. We do not want areas where things are piling up or taking a ton of time or being thrown back to other groups because they're missing some criteria or clarity. We want the work to flow, right? We don't want any of these highlights. We don't want any of these hotspots. So what happened in the case of CTO.ai is I came in to work with the team to look at their software development process. We highlighted 20 steps in the process. It took 9 weeks to deliver features into production to customers. And then what we did was we optimized that down to 8 stages that had multiple activities running in parallel. And we went down from 9 weeks to 1 week. And this is just an indication of the kind of optimizations that we can reach in a very short amount of time by looking at what's going on and targeting our efforts at specific measurable bottlenecks. So as I mentioned before, the place that we start here is by beginning with the end in mind. We start with outcomes by targeting a specific, highly valuable outcome, and then we break it apart a little to figure out what really goes into that, what's really going to make that happen, and what are the things that we need to keep in mind while we're headed in that direction. Following that, what we want to do is measure our current process, and we do that with value stream mapping. That's going to allow us to highlight these hotspots and prioritize them, because what we're going to see is certain areas pop out as big major bottlenecks or big delays or areas where things are just slipping through the cracks. And by seeing them, we're going to be able to target them. And we go from a current state value stream map to a future state value stream map where we start imagining that better state, that optimized state with a higher level of flow. Beyond that, what we want to look at is beyond the team. So we look at dependencies. We look at things like SLAs. We look at things like partners, mandatory customer interactions that can take time for like scheduling, or meetings that we have to tend to that eat up a lot of our schedule. These sort of things need to be factored in because they disrupt flow. They get in the way of us delivering value. So we need to know that they're there, and we need to take them into account when we're trying to find the biggest opportunities for improvement. Speaking of opportunities for improvement, we can always improve ourselves. We can always improve the support that we have to do our best work. So we also look at capabilities. But we don't look at every capability because that would be an effort in diminishing returns. What we want to look at is the capabilities that are really focusing on the biggest gaps that we've identified, the biggest opportunities that we've identified. So we take the capabilities that are most important to our current state challenges and target them. And that gives us focus in very specific areas that are going to have a measurable return, a really dramatic return, actually. So all of this comes together, these 4 types of maps, to really build this picture of not only what's happening right now, but what we should do next and what's really going to move the needle, what's really going to move us in the right direction to help us accomplish our desired outcome. Finally, these 4 maps will inform a list of actions that we can very clearly prioritize. And once we prioritize them, we can move them into the flow roadmap to schedule them and get them done. And we know when we're going to target what. We're also going to know what kind of indicators we're looking for to make sure that we're making progress and to demonstrate that progress. Because it's really important for us to not only make actionable recommendations and plans, we want to make sure that we're making progress towards those actionable outcomes and those desired outcomes. So with all that together, that is the start to finish, really quick overview of the Flow engineering program. And I really look forward to talking to you more about it and working through these maps with your team.